I wanted to kind of ask you about, some of the songs, like you mentioned, Australia Does Not Exist, Survive, Indigenous Land. You like I guess what we would call like a conscious rapper, and that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? You're a high quality, high level MC. So if you could kind of just talk about some of the themes of those tracks that I just mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that. I feel grateful as well as a guest in hip hop, and I really want to acknowledge that it emerged in other lands, and that it's connected to other people's experiences before it even got to this land, and I never take that for granted, and I'm really totally privileged to be able to have these experiences, and I definitely want to in my journey travel to places where hip hop was before it got here, and really soak that up, and connect with people who've been connected that to that from the start, because for me that's a culturally imperative thing to do for me, which I have not done yet. But in terms of my songs, Australia Does Not Exist, for me, really, that's been, I suppose, when I think back to it was probably around when I was 18, just finishing high school, where I suppose I started to think about how, like, I started to put the pieces of the puzzle together, I suppose, in terms of how society had become this capitalistic beast, so to speak, at least Western societies, and Australia. And I started to, I was very empathetic through my young years, like as a young child and then as a teenager. And it always really broke my heart to see people who were struggling, whether they had a disability, whether they were more impoverished than the next person, and so on and so forth. And I was really heartbroken by a lot of that. And I guess as I got into my late teens, I started to really see how that, putting two and two together and thinking, well, how did it all get to that point? Like what went wrong in the journey? And I started to understand more the power, I suppose, of, of indigeneity and spiritual practices, and really conscious, I guess, earth conscious, particularly. So I did a subject at school called outdoor education, which was, what really, like, for me, who wasn't that wealthy, we got to go to some amazing national parks and do these walks in the Lamb. We had one where we did like an 8 day walk with a backpack and all that kind of thing over in a part of country here called Tasmania, or otherwise Lutruwita. And, being opened up to things like that too, even getting more connected to the land in the pure sense, it really kept reminding me of how, there's a magic still out there for people to be able to connect with. And it's not what they're teaching us in the classrooms. It's not what is leading to people being impoverished. It's not what's leading to people being antagonized for not being the right this or that. And then I went off to university, and I was really privileged to meet some really powerful people that I guess started to shine even further light for me around how this country really got set up in terms of some of the legalistic frameworks of it all, and so on and so forth. And that really took me to the point of this understanding around how Australia was formulated. And again, coming back to Terra Nullius, for me, that's just since that time period, we're talking about going back to 2001, 2002, where I started to become acutely aware of the fact that Australia was a criminal construct, and it was continuing to present these ideas that were not just. And for me, that's something that everybody needs to really think about, who has lived within that identity, who's lived on this land their whole life, or who's even just visited here. It's really important that we need to understand how that can create damage to masses of people, and how those damages then escalate, and how they accumulate, and how it transforms the spirit of a collective of society, and how that can dull and hide away the fact that there might be a lot of healing that people need. And it can get to a point where people don't even feel like they need healing anymore because calluses grow and then a whole new birth comes out of that, which, when you're not fixed on justice for the whole society, you can use that callus then to spring forth into a whole other journey that is separating yourself again and again. And I feel that Australian society is kind of built off these calluses that are about assimilating into a way that is disconnected from an equitable way of living. Because if we were connected to that, we would have justice for Indigenous people. We would treat people who move to this country from you know other countries as well in a much better way. Homeless people would be treated like everything will be better. So for me, for healing to happen, we need to acknowledge the root cause of the damage, and the root cause of the damage is the foundation of Australia. So for me, if we can clear the air around that and imagine that, like just allow ourselves to imagine for a second that, just to forget that Australia was ever constructed here, and just think about how powerful and beautiful it will be to just be immersed in this feeling that, hang on, I'm not in Australia. I'm actually on this Indigenous land of my people, the Yorta Yorta, or I'm on, you know, Gadigal land, Eora lands, or Darug lands, which is the Sydney area where Botany Bay and the introduction of colonialism come to this country. People would just really sit and immerse in that and acknowledge that that's never actually changed. There is an enormous opportunity for healing there for people just purely through doing that alone. And so, if people can listen to a song and for that song to suspend their reality for a second, to say, hang on, if I imagine if that wasn't the case, where would I really be? Then that's the intention of a song like that, is to really take people deep into that and shatter that illusion in a way that maybe people didn't expect. Maybe nobody expected a song ever called Australia Does Not Exist to be written. And if they didn't expect it, I'm glad, because then it's going to create that ripple moment where maybe it does something to them to help them see another way. And I realized I just spoke
Wow.
about one track there.
Wow, wow. No, no, it's all good. You definitely broke it down. Man, I could just encourage the viewers to really check out your music. I mean, they'll surely enjoy it for sure. I mean, it's a deep message, and you know. So let me see. That's pretty much all the questions I have. If you could let the viewers know, where they can find your music, if they could follow you, social media, your contacts, and everything.
Yeah, most definitely. And firstly, I just want to thank you for reaching out. And I appreciate that. That's these moments where we just reach out like this that I think are so powerful in the world right now. And there's so many connections to be made, and we never know how deep and how far that's going to take us. So I appreciate you reaching out, brother. And I'm really interested to hear as well, beyond today, about your experiences and where you are in the world. Because my one of my cousins is actually, she's indigenous to here, but she got connection to where you're currently based at the moment, which I'm really curious to talk about that with you. But Dreaming Now is the artist name, and the spelling is DRMNGNOW. And you can find my music under Dreaming Now on all streaming platforms. I've got a few videos if you'd like to check out a bit of that. They're based out on the landscape here in so called Australia that share some really important places. So I hope that you can engage with them, and you can find me under Dreaming Now on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as well. So thank you everybody for listening in. And I just want to say Dunguja Domadamanga Wuta, send a big love out to all of you.
Oh yeah, it's definitely been an honor. I'm definitely thankful for you coming on the platform once again. I learned a lot. You know, it's only been a couple minutes, but it got my mind thinking on the future and, like I say, connecting with more brothers and sisters around the world. And I'm gonna check out some more of your music, most definitely. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been another episode of Taye Speaks. Until next time, family. Peace.